say, in the tradition of like culture and politics being inextricable, you cannot take those two things apart. I couldn't have asked for a better way to celebrate my first Kwanzaa. And also on the principle of self-determination. And when we're talking about self-determination, it's, to me, I was thinking a lot today, like before I came here, about like, what is self-determination to me? And there's so many different ways that you could define it, and there's not necessarily one correct definition. There may be some incorrect definitions, but there's no like one correct definition because it's different for everybody. I was listening to Loretta speak with one of our younger sisters, Zuri, and she was saying that self-determination is the ability to care for ourselves, but also for our people. And there are so many different ways that we could take care of ourselves and take care of our people. When we put self-determination into practice as a people, when we develop what is our purpose here as Black people, what is the purpose that we're trying to hone in on? Which direction are we going to be moving in? And we have to be moving in that direction collectively. So bracing ourselves, standing on these principles collectively, specifically going into 2025 being the centennial of Malcolm X, right? 100 years of Malcolm X, 100 years of his legacy, his teachings, his words to our people on which way forward. His words in terms of self-determination, the ability for us to recapture our communities and define and assert for ourselves who we are, what is best for us, and then for us to be the people that put that into practice. And I think one way in 2025 that we're specifically focusing on this, and the comrade spoke about it earlier, is say with the fares, right? 50% of New Yorkers are not paying the fare. 1 out of every 5 New Yorkers are struggling to pay the fare. $2.90. Somebody got shot, a Black man was shot over $2.90. His life was devalued. His life was cheapened to $2.90. And what do we say? Touch one?
Touch all.
Touch one?
Touch all.
So all of us were shot over $2.90. All of our lives are in danger when we get on those trains that are ours. Those trains that are ours, that 71% of the MTA revenue comes from our tax dollars. Those are our trains. These are our streets. This is our community. So in 2025, how are we going to put self-determination into practice? How are we going to move collectively in order to ensure that our public transportation, our streets, our community are accessible to us, affordable for us, safe for us, working for us? And it's not just with the MTA. There's a larger principle in that we look around us and a lot of what is in place, a lot of these structures, institutions, the functions that dictate our day-to-day lives do not operate for us.
So this is important because these individuals, when we look at these individuals, they reflect the best of a tradition, of a political tradition that Black people have produced. And so it's very important that we reflect on them. Not in the sense that we need to, just look back romantically at a past and just, talk about times that have been, but we need to allow these folks to be a guiding light for our actions moving forward. As folks have said before, this is important. This Kwanzaa celebration is important because it is fundamentally political, and it ties together the cultural. And in fact, if you have a cultural program that is not involved with politics, it's not something that I'm interested in, because I think it's ultimately backwards. So it's very important that we center these folks because they're part of a political tradition that Black people have produced. So when we look at them, we need to understand why we're looking at them and the conditions that we currently face. Folks have talked a lot about transportation, but when we look at, for example, labor, Black families have the lowest median income of all racial groups. And this has to be understood that since the 80s, production has been going up, but wages have stagnated. So that means not only are we getting more and more exploitative, Black people sit at the very bottom of that. When we talk about healthcare, Black people have the lowest or highest infant mortality rates at around 10%.
That's right.
When we talk about transportation, as we've talked about already, Black people are the most arrested for fare evasion, and they're also the most stopped when it comes to jaywalking. And when we talk about incarceration, Black people make up 56.2% of the prison population, despite being just under 15% of the actual population. So what then do we want from Malcolm, Patrice Lumumba, and Fanon? Well, Malcolm is our guiding light and our compass. Patrice is a shining example of fearlessness and a commitment to politics till the very end, up until death. And Fanon is a lens that provides clarity for us to understand what we are subjected to day in, day out. So what Fanon makes clear to us is a system of violence. That when we talk about the fair, when they try to exploit us for a fair, if you don't concede to that, they're going to shoot you for it. They're going to shoot you for it. And it's very clear that Fanon makes it clear to us that this is a battle, and they will wage a war with violence. And so we have to defend ourselves by any means necessary. When we talk about Patrice Lumumba, I want to paraphrase Malcolm speaking on Lumumba. He said, you know, Lumumba is the greatest black man to ever walk the African continent. That Lumumba told the king of Belgium, may you let us, you may free us. You may have given us our independence, but we can never forget these scars. That there was a lasting impact of colonization that has to be undone. And so we have to take from that, and we have to learn from that in our context here in America. And Malcolm represents the best of that. That while folks were concerned with the issues of civil rights, while they were concerned with integration into this state apparatus, Malcolm understood that we have to build for our own, that we have to, when it comes to the issues of labor, what kind of collective economics are we building? When it comes to transportation, how are we recapturing the system that belongs to us? The MTA belongs to us, we pay for that. And they're still charging us on top of that. How do we reclaim that? How do we subjugate these institutions to our will? That's what Malcolm teaches us. So as we move into 2025, as fascism confronts us, as fascism rears its head, as it's always been a part of the U.S. state, colonization, the original cleansing of all the natives in this country, the bringing of Africans to this continent, is part of the very fascist DNA of this country. As it rears its head again in 2025, what we have to take into 2025 is the concept of self-determination, Kujichagulia. But most importantly, we have to go on the offensive, and we need to be building our own institutions and recapturing the ones that rightly belong to us. So that's what I think when we talk about the centennial, and when we pay homage, and it's really an obligation we owe to our people and to the best of us, which Malcolm, Patrice, and Fanon represent.
When I hear about the brother talk about Jordan Neely and how he was murdered by a vigilante and the vigilante was acquitted, yeah, damn right. I'm mad about that. When I know that black people make up 24% of the total population in New York City, yet they make up 59% of the homeless population, I'm mad with that. When I read an article that tells me that back in November 1, 2022, black males made up 61% of the New York City jail system, see, I'm mad. That's how you know I'm mad. Right? Which equates to 1 white male for every 12 black males in the New York City jail system. I'm mad. I get pissed off about that. And I could say a whole litany of other things, but they were said. So, we have the right to be, how many people beside myself in this room mad? I should see every hand up. We all better be mad, damn it. Better be mad. So, we have a right to be mad and angry. And we can be. Right? So, yeah, we can be mad, but it's just not enough to just be mad. What we gonna do? And that's always my question. What we gonna do? And the first person I ask that to is the person I see in the mirror. What you gonna do? Because I'm tired of hearing myself complaining. I was tired, and that's why I became a member of D12. That's why I did that. So, because I need to do more than hear myself complain. If I'm not gonna be out there effectuating some change for my people and contributing to some of the problems, not the problems, the solutions.
Yeah.
The solutions, as in solution times. All right, then I'm not worth it. I'm not doing what Fanon says. Each generation must explore their. That's right. That's right. All right. Let's go. So, we got work to do. And one way we can do, one thing you can't hear me?
I didn't hear what he said.
Oh, okay, well that's okay, because you're listening to me, sis. I'm the one you're listening to.
What was it?
So one of the things we can do, and you can ask him that, right? We got an executive order that the December 12th move, that came out of the December 12th movement's trip to Durban, South Africa, where they galvanized 400 people and what came out of that was this DDPA, the Declaration, the Durban Declaration and Program of Action. And in that declaration, it was stated, it was declared that slavery was a crime against humanity. And therefore, reparations were due to the descendants of slaves. Listen, y'all, 2025 is 160 years since they overturned Special Federal Order number 15, which was supposed to allot 40 acres and a mule to former slaves. 160 years, y'all. We still ain't got our 40 acres. Still. At all. So that tell you what, we got some work to do, y'all. But we can't do it alone. We need unity. As somebody said earlier, we got to mean what we say and say what we mean. We can't just talk the talk, y'all. We got to walk the walk. Right, Jahid? We got to do it. We got to be boots on the ground. All around town. For real.
Yep.
So, this executive order that came out of the Durban 400 trip to South Africa is a $50 billion down payment. Operative word, y'all, down payment, to build state-of-the-art healthcare facilities owned and operated by Black people.
All right.
Okay, I hear that. All right. But we got to get some movement on that, y'all. We trying to galvanize people all over the city. So if you know about this executive order and you down with it, and we need the president's signature because it's been on his desk since 2020, right? It's been there since 2020. And all it requires is a thing of the pen. That's it. Sign it. Sign it, mofo. Sign it. Sign it. Okay? Let's get it. Let's do it. That's all we need, but we go around the cities a lot, y'all. We out here doing distribution, giving out flyers, talking to people. And everybody got their Everybody got the blueprint for reparations, right? That's why we still ain't got them. That's why we still ain't got them, because everybody think they got the blueprint, right? But the $50 billion executive order came out of the thinking that African people were enslaved together. It wasn't just individual slavery. We were all enslaved together. So the thinking is that we need to all get reparations together. We don't need an individual check in the mail, because we already know what we're gonna do with that money. They're gonna get it right back. That's not what we want. We got a health care situation in our community. And if COVID-19 didn't tell us that, then we must have been sleeping during the 2020. We got some issues with homelessness in our community. We got some issues with our education. And it's a daggone shame that we got a black mayor, had a black chancellor, and 70% of our high school students still reading on the 4th grade reading level. That's a problem. That's a problem. So what we gonna do? We can all in here say a litany of the problems that we face each and every day. But again, I ask you, what are we going to do in 2025? As we remember, as the brother Christian said, Benon Centennial, Malcolm Centennial, my idol, one of them, and Patrice Lumumba, my man too. As we remember them, y'all, we have to do something. We gotta make something happen. Even if we start on a small scale. But we gotta be self-determined that we're gonna do our own creating, do our own building. We're gonna name ourselves. Why would we be dumb enough to let an oppressor determine what we gonna get? We don't want no holidays. Later for that. We don't want that. You don't have to, remove no more Marion Sims memorials in Prospect Park and Central Park. We don't want that. We ain't asking you for no holiday. We ain't asking you for nothing. We demanding.
That's right.
Give us